Hey, welcome back here, everybody. And now we're ready, since we have our fish body completely rigged, we're ready now to go ahead and start rigging our face. And to rig our face, we're going to be using a plugin for Maya called the Face Machine. Um, Now, there's multiple different ways that we can go ahead and do this. You can use the wire method, which tends to take a long time in rigging faces. I'm using the Face Machine here from Manzavin Studios because this is going to save myself a lot of time, and we'll just simply have to rename some of the controls so that we don't have any naming conventions later on down the road. Now, we aren't going to make the eyes blink completely because fish don't blink, but what we want to do is just to make sure that we give the animators enough control to go ahead and be able to manipulate that face at least decently. So what we can go ahead and do here, first thing that we need to go ahead and do is make sure that we duplicate our eyes, because the Face Machine needs specific eyes, and I don't want to reuse the eyes that are already on the fish because that'll cause us a problem. Okay, so let's just make sure that everything gets added to that first layer here. Turn off our joints. Okay, so I can see that everything is at least on this first layer here, except for the eyes. I'll just have to add those. Okay, now what I want to go ahead and do here is just simply duplicate our eyes. So I'm going to select them, I'm going to hit Control D, I'm going to hit Shift P to make sure they get unparented from the group. I'm going to go ahead here and open up my outliner. I'm going to delete the constraints off of the deleted, or the duplicated eyes here, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to take these two, I'm going to hit Control G to group them, and then I'm going to freeze the transformation, center the pivot, and clear the history on them. Okay, this way they stay with the eye, or pretty much staying with the rig still, but they're not actually going to move here, as you can see. I just want to make sure that they stay at least with inside the rig placement. Okay, so we'll turn this layer back to a reference layer, making sure that these eyes are on their own. And I'm going to go ahead and create their own layer here. And I'm just simply going to name this the TFM underscore eyes, so that this will signify, the Face Machine eyes are in what they are. And I'm also going to rename the group here TFM eyes. Okay, and let me just go ahead and move my outliner there. And we'll go ahead here and bring in our Face Machine widget. Let's come up here to Face Machine, Pre-Rig, Add Face Machine Widget. And you're going to see where you get this big blue circle. Okay, and another thing I need to make sure that I go ahead and do here is just turn off our Global Master Controller. Okay, just so that doesn't actually get in the way. We can go ahead and turn that back on whenever we want. So I'm going to select the Face Machine widget node, and I'm just going to try and place this. Now, this will just take a little bit of practice to really go ahead and place this, because this isn't necessarily meant to rig fish characters. It's really meant to go ahead and rig humanistic characters. And what I'm really trying to do here is just line it up so that everything is going to match somewhat properly. So if I take a look here in my front view and actually hit 5 on my keyboard, you can see here where the eye shapes and the mouth shapes match the underlying geometry, and then we'll just have to simply place them where they're supposed to be. Okay, so with that selected, we'll go in here and bring in our Face Machine pre-rig controls, and we can go ahead here and turn on the widget controls level 1, and you can see where we get these little blue icons to indicate what they are. So we just need to make sure that we place these properly, and this will just definitely take a little bit of practice. And let me go ahead and just move this off screen real quick so you guys can see exactly what the naming convention is here. So since this is the skull mask, we want to place this somewhere almost at the top of the head, or where the top of the head would be. Okay, we'll come in here and take our left eye, and you're going to notice here that the right side is mirrored over, so whenever I move the left side or the right side gets moved. Okay, so we just need to come in and try and place this somewhat properly. It is a little tricky simply because, you know, it's really not meant to go into a fish character. It's really meant to go into a biped character or a humanistic character. It just takes a little bit of practice. And to use the rig here, you'll need the ends of rig nodes, facial rig nodes, and I'll put those in the script folder so that you guys can install them for whatever version of Maya you have, whether it's Linux, Windows, 64 and 32-bit. Okay, so I'm not going to go ahead and scale the mouth up. I'm going to do that a little differently. We'll take our neck mask here, go ahead and pull this down. We're going to scale this a little wide. We'll go ahead here and take the jaw mask and push this in. And I'm just really trying to make these NURBS curves sit somewhat flush on the body and on the face. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect, because when we go ahead here and actually bring in our second level of widget controls, we're going to be able to match that a little bit better. So I'm just checking the underlying geometry there. And probably rotate that a little bit there. A little bit more. Okay, so let's go ahead here and bring in our second level of widget controls, which will be the second one here. And there you can see where the control is just going to be a little bit finer. And we just need to go ahead and select here and place these. And I'm going to use V to snap, V on my keyboard to snap where I want these. So nasolabial fold can probably be there. The cheek fold here is, we'll go maybe here. The corner of the mouth here, we'll go ahead and snap here. I'm just trying to snap it to a vertex here that's really going to indicate the corner of the mouth, and that actually isn't where I want to snap it, so we'll go ahead and snap it there. That's going to be the teeth, and since we don't really have any teeth, I'm not going to worry too much about that. The upper lip crest, we can go ahead and snap there if we want to. The underlip, we'll go ahead and put there. There, we'll put there. We'll take our chin and we'll snap our chin there. Take our upper lip WC, which is where our lips are going to meet. Our lower lip WC. Okay. Our lower lip crest, we'll go ahead and throw there. Okay, so our mouth is set up properly there. Okay, we'll come in here and snap our nose folds here. Our nose indicators. Let's go ahead here and do our brow. The upper eyelid WC we'll go ahead and throw there. Lower eye WC we'll go ahead and snap there. I'm going to hit 4 on my keyboard, and you can see where we have the eye shapes here. So we'll take the eye pivot and snap it to the back of the eye here. Take the If I can grab the pupil here, snap that to the front of the eye. We're going to take the upper lid WC, which is going to be where we'll be controlling the blink, or partial blink. Same thing here on the lower lid WC. We'll take the outer eye WC. You're going to snap it, which will be the corner of the eye here. And we can probably just snap that there. And the inner eye corner. So we'll go ahead and snap that there maybe. Okay, so that looks okay. We'll take our forehead control, and I think we can go ahead and snap it there. Take this top one, put it there. We'll take the corner here. Take the outer orbital. Snap it there. Okay, so I think we're looking okay here. Now, what I want to do to make sure before we start defining our meshes here, to actually go ahead and rig our face machine, I want to make sure that I save this scene. So we'll just say Clowny Tuts, and we'll make it with the TFM placed abbreviation, just so I know exactly what it is, and just so that if I have to readjust it, because once you rig your face with the face machine, you're not going to be able to make changes to how it's actually set up. So it's just better to save the placement, and then if you do have a problem, you can go ahead and come back and replace it and adjust before you actually go ahead and skin it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hit Save As, and you can see that it just takes a second to go ahead and come in. Okay, so now we're ready to go ahead here and define our meshes so that we can actually start animating our face and start painting our weights. Okay, so first thing we need to do is just unreference our fish layer. I'm going to select my fish, and I'm going to go ahead here and define the body as my face object, or the face mesh. Okay, I'm going to come in here, show my joints, and I'm going to make sure that I do show the joints here and where they would be. I'm not exactly sure where the joints went here. Okay, so we'll just jump in here and see if we can actually find our joints. Well, we can go ahead and do that here in a second. I'll have to turn my master controller back on here. Okay, we will go ahead here and select this joint here, which is the head rotate joint, and we're going to define that as the head joint so that the face machine gets parented to the rig. Okay, and let's go ahead here and make sure that we turn our master controller back off real quick, and we're going to go ahead here and define the TFM eyes, okay, as our left eye. So we'll select our TFM eye, go ahead and define that as our left eye object. Select your TFM right eye as your right eye object, and we don't actually have to define any teeth or the tongue. You can if you were say rigging a humanistic character. Okay, so we're going to go ahead here and just minimize that. I'm going to pull the outliner off. I'm going to go ahead and deselect, turn my TFM eyes off, and I'm going to jump into my front window here, turn on my wireframe, and I'm going to go ahead here and rig the face machine. And this really shouldn't take too long, so I may not have to pause the video, but if it does take too long, I'll make sure that I go ahead and let you guys know before I pause it. So I'm going to go ahead and rig the face machine here. So there you can see where it's kicking through a little bit fast. It's not really going super fast, but that's okay. This really shouldn't take too much time to go ahead and kick through. I'm going to go ahead here and pause the video. Okay, so now that it has gone ahead and kicked through, you can see where we get this face machine set up here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead here and jump back to my floor view. And you can also see here that we don't have any eyes. So I need to go ahead and make sure that I turn on my global master here. Okay, I'm going to go ahead here and just turn my joints off. And let's go ahead here and select some of these controllers to see how our pre-weighting is. So our weighting here actually looks fairly decent. We'll just have to, maybe paint a little bit to make sure that this rig is actually working properly. But you can also notice that the pivot point of these controllers is, I would say, pretty way off. We'll just have to recenter the pivots on those. I'm going to show you an easy way to go ahead and do that. And you can also see here where the placement of our mouth is also way off. So we're going to have to go ahead and adjust those. Okay, so in the next lesson we'll go ahead and come back and we will start making the adjustments to our face rig, and we'll also go ahead and start painting the weights for our face machine. So come on back, everybody.